Welcome everyone to Startup Duniya, showcasing the incredible journey of startup. I am Yogesh Bhosle, co-founder and CEO of SMEVenture. And today I am pleased to welcome Mr. Nisscal Jaain. He's the founder and CEO of Shypmax for our today's episode. Nisschal, before we going further, I just wanted to give you a little bit info about Nisschal. So Nisschal is a second generation business owner, an alumni of Harvard Business School. He has worked in a variety of industries across Asia for a total of 18 years, including mining, energy, education, retail, technology, and logistics. Over the years, he has gained experience in variety of fields before starting his own firm and creating Shypmax. Shypmax is an AI-enabled logistic platform by focusing technology with conventional supply chain. Welcome, Nisschal.
Hi everyone. Hi Yogesh. Thank you Yogesh and SME Ventures for having me today.
Yeah, thanks to you also to joining with us, and we hope we will get a lot of insights from logistics industries for my viewers also. So, Nishal, we would firstly like to understand from you the rise of multimodal logistics and e-commerce in India. So, can you just brief and just throw lights on it, please?
See, if you look at e-commerce, e-commerce, I would say the last decade has been the decade of e-commerce in India, and e-commerce has continued to grow. I think the Indian e-commerce industry is currently at about $384 billion, and it's growing at a rate of almost 27 to 35% CAGR. Somewhere now, I think the future fuel that the e-commerce industry or the e-retail industry in India needs is logistics, faster logistics, on-demand logistics, and more efficient and more transparent and cheaper logistics. If you
True.
look at the Indian MSMEs, they count for almost one third of India's GDP and about 40% of the exports,
Mhm.
whereas logistics accounts for almost 14% of India's GDP. So in a way, our GDP's total 14% cost is logistics. This is this average. This is higher than the BRICS average, which is about 11%. So in order to propel the e-commerce further, logistics is going to show the way. I think this is going to be the decade of logistics in India. And in order to do that, it is becoming more and more, evident, and it's been put into practice that multimodal logistics is the only way ahead.
Hmm.
And it has been quite fragmented. The multimodal or the different modes of logistics never talk to each other, and it's always been in isolation. So in order to improve that, in order to make it more efficient, the government has developed a platform called the ULIP, and also introduced the national logistics policy. I think all of this put together is going to help reduce the cost of logistics from 14% to, I think, 9 or 10% in the next 3 to 5 years.
Hmm.
And $129 billion industry is growing, I think. And as India is reaching that $5 trillion economy, the more we save on logistics, the faster the turnaround of a particular vehicle is, the more the logistics is going to be more efficient and the savings will be higher. So that is one of the reasons why the demand or the need of the multimodal logistics has arisen in India, because of the e-commerce being propelled and the infrastructure somewhere getting choked.
Yeah, true. We understand, and we, as we all aware about, like, if for the e-commerce and all, everybody, and now entire India, there is a price war. So it's very important to have a lowering your logistic cost to give the competitive pricing to the consumers, right?
So see, it is not just about the Indian consumers. I would also say that the multimodal logistics is also helping the Indian exporters or the Indian foreign trade community also to be more competitive globally, because
Right.
a large chunk of the logistics cost for an international shipment, an export or import shipment, would be the domestic piece of it, maybe 20 to 30% of that. So if
Exactly.
that goes down, also that makes the Indian products, the Indian businesses, more competitive globally as well. And of course,
True.
the lower the cost of a product or fulfillment of the product, the higher is the purchasing power of the consumer. That in turn, uh, gives
And
rise to more
that
business.
will go hand to hand. That's true. That
Yeah.
will go hand to hand. Okay, great, great. So that will definitely help us to grow our export also, for lowering your logistic costs. So that will be a great point to what you have mentioned here. So coming down to the second point, what are the recent trends of supply chain according to you, Nisha?
So I think there's more emphasis on having capacity, having a wide network and distribution, being able to take more control of the supply chain, whether it is for a industrial manufacturer, whether it is for a D2C brand, or
Mhm.
for a logistics operator itself. Making sure that the supply chain disruptions that we saw in the last couple of years, obviously you can never prepare for such disruptions, where the entire global supply chain suddenly freezes overnight. But I think the industry has learned a lot from it, and there's a lot of predictive AI that is coming into play. There's a lot of focus on e-mobility. There's some emphasis and research going on unmanned vehicles such as drones to carry out the deliveries. The government has brought in, I think I have the number right, about 17 different government departments onto a single platform and a single window clearance for the logistics infrastructure as well. So all these things, the ULIP, the AI, the advent of the drone technology, faster fulfillment, having more reliance on technology and not on only manual operation, the predictive planning for logistics fulfillment or a shipment. All of that put together is making sure that the logistics sector grows by leaps and bounds.
Okay, great. So AI enabled, due to the AI enabled technologies and platforms, it will be really helping out for the logistics also for the going across. That is what you wanted to focus on, right?
Right.
Great, great. So here is a technology is the key point, guys. It's very important for every aspect of a business now. So that is what Nisschal also is focusing on, like how technology you need to incurred in these kind of logistic movements. So going forward, Nisschal, can you just throw some lights on Shypmax as an organization, like how you are really doing good work for the international logistics part.
Right. So, before I take you to that, I will just give you a backdrop, how Shipmax came into existence. So, we have been in the logistics space for about 7 years, and we were earlier operating as a domestic multi-carrier automation platform. And while we were a multi-carrier automation platform, we were not able to provide the same automation or gain the same traction for international shipping. So when COVID hit, it gave us time for almost 3 or 3.5 months. I think all of us were just sitting at home. There was no work. Even the non-essential, goods movement through courier was stopped. So we just went back to the drawing board. We spoke to a lot of customers that you are doing X amount of, revenue every month. I have 90% of your share of wallet of for shipping, which is all domestic, and then you have a 10% share of wallet, which is purely international shipping. I have the option, I can provide you with that service. Why am I not getting that business? Even though while my rates are competitive. So we
Mhm.
realized that A, we were not adding any value over there, and B, the problems that were to be solved were completely different from just providing an automation of booking and tracking. So that is where we went back to the drawing board. We started thinking out loud what are the problems that this sector, especially the MSME, is facing, and
Mhm.
can those be solved, and can we solve them? So we got those answers, and then November 2020 is when we conceptualized Shipmax, and our GTM was last year in August. Shipmax is essentially a supply chain. It's a carrier. It's a global cross-border carrier, but our offering is not the shipping. Our offering is the product or the experience that we are providing to our customer, and in turn to our customer's customer. Be that taking out all the hidden costs and surprises from a shipment's journey. We provide landed cost solutions. We always charge what we have asked for. There are no last minute shocks and surprises. There's 100% tracking. I can with confidence say that our tracking is one of the best in the industry. There's 100% visibility from the time an order is received till the time an order is delivered. We do not give out 5 scans in every stage of the shipment. We are giving 100% transparency to the consigner and the consignee, to the shipper and the customer, where the shipment is, why it is taking time, or when it is going to be getting delivered. taking one step ahead, there's minimal documentation or paperwork that is required. Everything is automated by the platform. We
Okay,
provide compliance to
that's
the
great.
MSMEs, which is one of the largest challenges for MSMEs, especially those who are getting into the export or import market. We provide that entire handholding and make sure that they are always compliant. And all of this again is, almost paperless. It is all enabled and automated on our platform. We are providing returns management to the customers, which was again a very big pain point of the industry, especially for the e-commerce industry. So all of these things ultimately help us become a part of the customer and the merchant's transaction, not after an order has been placed or a transaction has been closed, but right from the point when a transaction is being evaluated. We try to help with the higher cart conversion for our customers as well when it comes to e-commerce. Similarly, for the MSMEs and exports, again, quite supercharged platform with all the technology available for compliance, for documentations, for clearance, for pickups, deliveries, booking, and tracking. Something which has not been there in the past.
Great, great. It's really, really exciting to know about more on Shypmax because for my viewers, if you look at for the exporting also, they have lots of issues regarding the paperwork also. There are a lot of license issues. There are a lot of technology enablement issues. So I think Shypmax is an organization will definitely help them to solve these kind of hurdles, and definitely it will be a smoother transaction for MSMEs also to if they want to expand, if they wanted to do business outside India. So I think Shypmax is a platform where my viewers can, my MSME business owners can definitely will take advantage of it. Nisschal, I just wanted to understand, like you must be in this time frame, you must be work with lots of brands who are sending their materials or products or solutions to outside India. So, if you are talking about the GTM, like what is the importance of overseas go-to-market strategy for their brands? If you can just give some highlights on that,
I
so
think
the viewers also can be beneficial out of it.
currently any growing brand or any brand that has any D2C brand which has gained traction in India, obviously the natural course of growth is global expansion, and it
Right.
is not easy, it is challenging. Like we are working with a lot of D2C brands, and the most they appreciate is that there are a lot of cost centers which earlier used to be profit center for supply chain companies. We have flipped it around. They are no longer a profit center for companies like us, and they are no longer a cost center for the merchants. So ultimately, it brings their cost down. Now, when coming to the GTM, it is important to know where to sell, what to sell, when to sell, at what price point to sell. So and what is the audience that you're targeting. So ultimately, a brand that has reached its potential or is on the way to reach its potential in India, ultimately it has to cross borders, it has to go global. The world has become very small today. We deliver a shipment from here to New York in less than 48 hours most of the times.
Okay.
Not all the time, but most of the times. Here to London in less than 24 hours, again, most of the times. So I would say it's the same, getting something from Bombay to Delhi or sending something from here to London or bringing it to London is possible in the same time frame. And it is not necessarily that you have to burn a hole in your pocket to get to buy something at that speed, and then again, or the merchant to burn a hole in their pocket to deliver it in that timeline. As long as you know what is going to sell, we also have global fulfillment services wherein customers can store with us at destination, or they can store with us over here in India, and we will drop ship it for them. So ultimately, a, a local brand has to become a global brand, and then only it's going to continue on its growth trajectory. The Indian product has found acceptance around the world, especially in categories such as textiles, garments, clothing, shoes, accessories, health, and beauty. These are categories wherein the Indian product, the Indian quality has found acceptance worldwide. The price point compared to the developed countries is much less. The quality is higher, the quality is better. There are a lot of repeat customers that even we see, that a particular customer in the US or in the UK is ordering those same items, and we are actually having to ship those items. So that's the natural, next step for any brand in India or an MSME in India who will even who is in multi-product business to grow globally. And it is not impossible or very difficult anymore, but yes, you have to be careful on what is the channel that you are selling to and who's your logistics partner, because at the end of the day, a customer will buy, a seller will sell, but somebody has to make sure that the product is delivered on time every time, and that is where the logistics comes into play. And unless
Okay.
the entire supply chain is tightly knit, there will be delays.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Nishal, Indian MSME, if you look at, is an unorganized kind of a structure, and they have lots of misconception, myths around logistics. Also, they're not very clear about some terms and all. So, can you please tell us more about importance of logistic in the expansion of Indian MSME? Because most of the business owners, which I also met personally, a few of them, if you're talking about the technology also, they are not very serious about the few technologies which they need to incur in their organization. Similarly, in logistics also, they have lots of myths, and there are a lot of miscommunications is happening in overall industry. So can you please give some tips about, like, and understand us about importance of logistic in expansion of Indian MSMEs, how it's important?
No, I completely agree with you over there. And it's not easy for somebody whose business or core business is not logistics, and his only business is to manufacture or trade and sell. And logistics is actually not everybody's cup of tea, and it is not their core business. So that is where companies like Shypmax, who have a customer first approach and have the trust of the customer, become a natural extension or a extension of the logistics team of this MSME. Now, somebody who's doing, let's say, a $5 to $6 million or a 25 to 30 crore per year revenue, it is difficult to, have a dedicated logistics team. So that is where they need to work with companies who become a natural extension of their logistics team, and the logistics is sort of outsourced. Logistics is one of the most important functions of any business today.
Yeah.
As long as it involves the cost of delivery, a physical delivery, it is the most important function. And not only because of the cost, ultimately today, as a consumer, all of us are buying into the experience. Most of the items of different brands that we buy off marketplaces are being manufactured in the same facility. They probably have the same design but just a different brand. So to for the MSMEs to build their own brand, it is ultimately the experience that they are selling. And logistics actually makes or breaks the customer experience for a brand or an MSME. And it is important because from a time when you would not imagine of ordering something which is a speciality of Bangalore or Bombay, and now buying from all across the country and having it delivered in the next 24 to 48 hours, it has gone further ahead. Now we want deliveries in 10 minutes. Now we have companies who are offering deliveries in 10 minutes. So it is not just that the demand is growing, or rather I would say the inventory is required to be placed close to the demand. The
Mhm.
demand centers are also increasing. The tier 3, tier 4 cities and smaller towns and villages, there's a lot of demand that is coming from there as well. That is actually an untapped geography of the Indian retail market. And there's a lot of demand that is coming from these cities and these towns, because again, internet has become made the country so small, made the world so small. So unless an MSME is focusing on logistics, they will not be able to provide the experience that would help them grow.
Okay, okay, okay. So some of the out of syllabus questions when we are talking about the demand and supply, can you please let us know, like, if there is a demand and supply issue, if there is a lots of demand from outside India, and there is a supply is less from India, so how SME need to tackle these problems? Like, how logistics can be a crucial role in this?
So again, I think with some people who, or some businesses who have been in the international trade for, let's say, a few years, they can plan their inventory better. They can plan their capacity better. With solutions that are available with companies like us, they can have their inventory stored at the point of takeoff in India or at the destination. Uh, you can make sure that you're using multimodal logistics, even for international shipping. You don't have to send everything by courier, air courier or express courier. There are multiple modes available with Shipmax, wherein you can send something which is getting delivered to a particular destination 10 to 12 days versus 3 to 5 days. We also have air freight, where we can send in bulk and distribute at the last mile. We are also going to get into ocean freight soon. So again, the MSMEs can take advantage of all these modes available, and especially
Okay.
with Shipmax, it's a one-stop shop. We have all the solutions available for any kind of a shipping internationally, import or export. And for newer players, obviously it's little challenging with supply chain disruptions. But yes, the world is looking at India. Especially there has been a dynamic shift in the last couple of years after COVID from some Asian countries towards India when it comes to supply chain reliance,
Okay.
and people, more and more countries around the world are looking at India. So yeah, I mean, ultimately there's invention, happening continuously. So now we have customers who we are offering hybrid solutions to. So we take part of the journey via air and we take part of the journey for their goods via sea. So invention will continue, but again, once if a business has sense of when they need that inventory, where do they need it, where the demand is going to generate from, when it is going to generate, who's the
True
audience,
that. True that.
to
Yes, that the inventory
manage.
management is very crucial part for MSME manufacturers. That is one which we would like to highlight. Just one question about Shypmax as an organization. How many countries you are dealing and you are comfortable to deliver the products?
We are shipping currently to over 220 countries in express courier, and then we are delivering to more than 50 countries in both express as well as premium shipping, which is slightly slower than express, but much more faster and reliable than postal shipping. Then we are doing air freight shipping to all around the world again. We are working with more than 70 last mile partners around the world who
Okay.
deliver the product on our behalf locally. We are also partnered with many other partners in about 40 countries wherein we are predominantly operational. And
Okay.
other than these 40 countries, another 160 and 70 countries, we operate through network partnerships.
Okay.
But
And you're
we
still
have
in
this
expansion mode, right? You're also expanding your horizon and your network, your partners, and everything in
yes,
the
we have plans to launch global operations next year in
Oh, lovely,
2023.
lovely, 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 lovely. So I'm not asking about this end of the question, but if you wanted to give some message or convey some message to my audience as MSME business owners, so Nisschal, over to you.
So I'll say I think this is, people have been talking about a technical recession, the world going into recession. Yes, all of that is true. But I think the Indian ecosystem has never been geared up better in the last 25, 30 years, or as long, I have 39 years old since I can remember, or I had some sense to make out what the economy is. The Indian ecosystem has never been geared up better for anybody, to start a business, to start a company, to start a brand or a store or an e-commerce store, to sell locally, to manufacture or to sell globally. So yeah, I mean, the Indian government, the Indian business community has laid a very, very strong foundation in the last 5 7 years. And I think our generation, the people of this time, they should make the most of it, and yeah, go for your dreams.
Great. So, audience, this is Nisschal, and Nisschal has give lots of insights about the logistics, about the multimodal logistics and e-commerce, and the documentation. He touched upon the GTM and how to expansion of your Indian MSMEs, and he enlightened about the Shipmax also, like how as an organization he is. They are providing the services for more than 40 countries with the different modules of logistics. So I think I would like to thank you, Nisschal, for giving such a wonderful and insightful session which we have. Hope you liked the session, Nisschal.
The pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Great, great. Thanks a lot. So you can check this interview at all social medias of SMEVenture. So please do like, share, and subscribe SMEVenture for more such update. Thank you. Thanks to you.